honestly, like it's a bad matchup for the Wizards because Embiid is there. Scott Brooks is going to want to play Alex Len, who's probably the second worst NBA player in the league. So they're going to like.
Who's the worst? Who's worse than Alex Len?
So it was Cameron
Aaron
Payne.
Baines.
Aaron Baines is the worst. Yes.
Aaron Baines might be the worst player in the
might be the worst
league.
player in the NBA. But next year, I think he'll be fine. This year, worst player in the NBA.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Jake Weston, and you're listening to Brews and Bruise Reviews, the show of cold drinks and even colder takes. So, last episode, we reviewed the Caribou Genuine, giving it a solid ranking of a 7.2 as a result of its smooth taste, cool label design, and just generally being a staple of local BC brewing. The episode before that, we had the Granville Island Sip Easy Lager, being assessed at a 6.5. So we've got a brand new brew to review for you guys today. So we'll see how it stacks up. And with the NBA playoffs just starting, we've got some very exciting content to cover. I'm talking NBA play-in tournament, regular season awards, playoff bracket predictions, and then we're going to do a deep dive on the impact of all-time great NBA point guard Chris Paul, who has been on a tear this season with the Phoenix Suns, having not made the playoffs as a franchise in the past 10 years. Now he has led them this season to the number 2 seed in the stacked Western Conference, where they will have to face off against a scary-looking 7 seed defending champion Los Angeles Lakers. So, what does the 11-time All-Star and number 5 all-time assist leader Chris Paul have in common with critically acclaimed actor Leonardo DiCaprio, as well as the foul-mouthed British master chef Gordon Ramsay? Well, stay tuned to find out. We're going to be going over all that and more on this third episode of Brews and Bruise Reviews. But before we get into all that, I've got an amazing guest to introduce to you guys. He's a fellow poli-sci student at UBC, as well as the co-founder of Walnut House Pictures. He is an incredibly talented musician, writer, and film producer, as well as an NBA basketball savant. He is the second half of the Riley brothers duo, the first of which I had the pleasure of interviewing in episode 1. If you haven't seen that episode, be sure to go check it out on YouTube and Spotify. The links to those will be posted in the description. But for now, Liam Riley, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Very happy to have you on here. Let's get down to this beer review. So do you have a drink handy?
I don't. Oh shoot! I just saw that message. I don't have anything with me.
All good. I'm
gonna have to
take a quick sip.
You're gonna have to tell me how it is. Yeah. What is this one?
So this one today is the Beer League Craft Brewed Lager. You see that? Kind of a cool label there. It's got a hockey goalie there, and the other side is a different hockey player. Very Canadian looking. I picked this one solely because of the cool box up top. You can see it there. The cool label, very Canadian with the hockey player. Beer League, since it's summertime, Mm-hmm. I was a baseball player once upon a time, so Beer League kind of gets me reminiscent. I've got my All-Stars.
Were you?
My All-Stars hat here, just not a big
what
deal.
Position were you?
I was pitcher.
Okay.
So I was a pretty good pitcher. Sometimes played shortstop, not a big deal once again. But I was actually infamously my coach in Little League. He gave me the award for being able to find the most anthills in the infield.
You're one of those guys.
I was super distracted as a kid. I was total ADHD. So he'd never put me in the outfield. I'd get too distracted. I could never focus. There wasn't enough action in there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
so
funny.
one sip, everyone knows the rules.
We all know the
Let's see
rules.
what
Yeah.
this one is. So 5% alcohol per volume. Not bad. Just kind of like your run-of-the-mill lager, really. One sip. All right. Doesn't impress me too much, but I could definitely drink a couple of these out on the porch or at beer league or whatever. I'm gonna give it. It met expectations, but it didn't surpass them. So I'm gonna give it a 5.4. 5.4 on the leaderboards.
So where does that rank for you?
So
So
that's
far.
that's number 3. So the first one I did with your brother was Granville Island Sip Easy, and it was a little bit different.
Mhm.
So that one was a 6.5. Then I reviewed the Caribou Genuine on episode number 2 with my
Saw
sister,
that. Yeah.
and that was everyone likes to hate on caribous just because they're kind of like a cheap college boy drinking beer.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like a staple of BC brewing, like pretty popular, and I don't mind them. So I gave it a generous score of a 7.2. This one's not a bad option, but it's not surpassing any expectations.
Yeah.
Just kind of what I figured. Anyway, so what did I say? 5.4.
Yeah. 5.4. Sitting in third.
All right, not terrible, but okay. So let's get right down to it. I wanna first issue an apology to DK Metcalf because, as requested, someone wrote in the comment section after DK ran a 10.3, and I predicted he wouldn't be able to run any faster than 10.6, 10.5, given his lack of experience and training on the track, and just being about 60 to 70 pounds heavier than everyone else. I thought no way in hell was he going to be able to run that fast, but he surpassed expectations. So hats off to DK. Ran a 10.3, very impressive.
Very quick.
So, there we go. And then
You think he's going to do any more races?
I don't think he will. He kind of proved his point.
Yeah,
I
agree.
He gets paid way more than any track athlete.
Yeah, well, the Olympic thing was never going to happen for him. So
yeah, so he didn't make the Olympics, but he got his respect. I think that's what he wanted.
Yeah, he's quick.
And okay, so you're the co-founder and creator of Walnut House Pictures.
Yeah.
And since we're here drinking beers, talking shit, just like guys do, I understand that you've got an upcoming project that sort of fits that label. Do you want to tell us about your upcoming movie?
So on Monday, what is it, May 24th, 25th? I don't know. We're releasing a short film on our YouTube channel. It's called Coffee and Cigarette, or Beer and Cigarettes, sorry, based on a film called Coffee and Cigarettes. It's kind of a riff on that film. And it's about two guys who they're testing out the age-old combo of beer, cigarettes, and a hot tub on a nippy Friday or Sunday night. So the idea is that they're pretty awkward and that they don't actually drink beer or smoke cigarettes, and so they're trying to prove to each other that they're cool. And yeah, we did it with the same cast and crew from our previous film, and so yeah, we're excited to release it. We think it came out pretty well. It's pretty funny. It's the first time we did comedy, actually. We've written comedy before, but we haven't actually made any comedy films before. So this is, it was exciting for us to try, especially considering most of the things that we write Will and I, that is. Most of the things that we write are comedy, and surprisingly enough, everything we've made up to this point has not been comedy. So yeah, I think in the future, more of the things we make will have comedy in it. But so this is kind of a taste, I guess.
Very cool. Well, I'm super excited to watch that one,
Yeah.
and I'll probably have a beer in my hand while watching, so I can
Yeah.
get right into the mood.
Perfect.
Anyway, so NBA playoffs just started. A couple games today. Did you get around to watching any?
I did. I watched the Clippers and the Mavericks, and I also watched the game before that, which was what was it? It was the Bucks and the Heat. So I watched both of those games. Yeah. What did you watch either of the games?
I watched. Okay, so I caught Mavs Clips, and I also caught the last couple seconds of regulation for Heat Bucks, and I watched the overtime as well. Pretty crazy. That was an insane.
It was a good game. Yeah, it was a good game. Who do you like in the series?
Okay, so how about a little Heat culture for you?
Oh, you're a Heat guy.
Little
You're
Eric
8% body fat kind of guy.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah.
So the Bucks are obviously a great team with two-time MVP Giannis and last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have also got sharpshooter Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
They added PJ Tucker, which is interesting because everyone was kind of saying he was washed. He's been playing like garbage up to when they added him, but this year's been kind of a resurgence of players that used to be good that everyone thought were sort of over. We'll get into that later, but PJ Tucker,
he was playing on the stretch for them today, actually. PJ Tucker. Yeah, he was. I mean, he he struggles on the glass, I think, and that's kind of like he's 6'6", I think 6'5", barely.
He
and
plays big though. He's
playing
big.
like crunch time center for them on defense. I guess they do a bit of offense defense, like sometimes with Brook Lopez. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good fit for them. It's interesting, and I mean, you forgot to mention Drew Holiday, he was like.
I was getting to him. I love Drew Holiday. The Holiday brothers are all great. They're Showtime, as Stephen A would say. Drew Holiday is just one of those players that doesn't shrink in crunch time. He plays both ends of the floor. He's a true competitor.
Mm-hmm. He did a good job on Jimmy Butler today. Jimmy Butler was like 5 for 20 or something from the field. It was something like that.
He made that clutch bucket to send them to overtime, but then it was Drew who blocked him the last shot.
Yeah, I think the shot was after the buzzer, but it was still like Jimmy Butler had to catch with his back, facing the basket, so he had to do a spin just to get open, and there was only half a second left, so that wasn't enough time. But yeah, I think the way Jimmy, I think his biggest problem is that his jump shooting is like not there right now, which is interesting because I feel like it was like 2 or 3 years ago he was getting up to be a pretty solid 3-point shooter, and now he's just like he's 25% from the field and he's like breaking threes over and over again, and at the end of the game it's pretty tough for the Heat because I hate those guys that shoot, right, and he can't.
Yeah, I mean the Heat have shooters.
Yeah, for sure.
Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, some of the sharpest shooters in the game. They have struggled this year, but they were just starting to heat up towards the end of the season. Tyler Hero is shooting, what was it, like 23% from three or something like that?
Yeah, it was bad.
It was bad. Duncan Robinson.
Did you see that report? The Heat saying like they were concerned about him being too much of a star. Did you see that report?
Oh yeah,
that's so good.
It doesn't surprise me at all. Tyler Hero is the most like cocky showboat player. Did you see him last year in the finals? Like I think he got one layup.
Yeah,
he started growling at LeBron.
I love it. Yeah, I was actually a huge fan of Tyler Hero in high school.
Okay.
He went to school in Wisconsin, I think. And I don't
He's a Kentucky kid, eh?
Yeah, he went. Well, so he committed to Wisconsin actually, and he, it was, I think it was in grade 10. He committed to Wisconsin, and then he wound up switching to his commitment to Kentucky, and then he got booed in every single one of his games in Wisconsin for like the rest of the year. It didn't really matter. He was still dropping like 50 on everyone, and I think they won the state championship. I don't watch a lot of high school games, but I remember seeing him and thinking, wow, he's actually like very good.
He was phenomenal last year. I mean, all
Yeah,
throughout the season, the Heat have been super up and down all
yeah.
season long. I
I was
mean,
gonna say about Jimmy, like they all got COVID, and Jimmy Butler lost a lot of weight, and you can tell like he's not as strong as he was last year, and I think that's one of the reasons why he didn't play as well today, and I just don't see him being as good as he was last year, because he's like one of his like assets is his strength. Like he's such a strong guy, he can get to a spot and push people around, and like he's just not doing that right now. Um, like he was able to get to the rim at the end of the game today, but that was like a shifty move. Like he's not like bullying anyone right now. And
right.
that's what he did last year.
That's his thing. Like
Yeah.
he imposes will on players, and that's how he does it.
Yeah. But I'm a huge Jimmy Butler fan. Like when he was in Minnesota, I thought he was incredible. Um, he was like a top 5 player that year in Minnesota when he went down with like a meniscus tear or something, because he was playing too many minutes. But yeah, I think like I just, for me, if we're gonna do the Miami Milwaukee thing now, I do have Milwaukee beating Miami, just because of the Jimmy Butler's weight loss, and because of Drew Holiday. Like I don't like Milwaukee all that much, but I think they
I
and
was
also
I was never a
because
fan of, you know,
yeah,
the league started just absolutely just bowing down to Giannis, just like loving him way too much. And I never really bought in, because first of all, I felt like it was kind of forced to sort of draw that overseas market, get that like that fan base from other countries and stuff. And I mean, which is great. Like you love to see the league growing and in influence and their fan base and stuff. But I mean, every year, just year after year, the league would just hype up Giannis and the Bucks so much, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Bucks are winning the title. Giannis is the best player on the earth right now." And every year, teams would just crowd the paint. They would figure out Giannis, and he doesn't get the same calls. He doesn't get the same. Teams play him different in the playoffs. You know, he
yeah. I
can't.
mean, I think Bud is like messing it up for him right now too, Coach Bud. Like their offense is predictable, and their defense. I mean, this year they've been more willing to like experiment, I guess. Um, but they kind of like are like ride or die on the way they play, and that's how you go up 2-0 to losing in 6 games, because you're like, we're not changing anything, and then you just lose game after game because you're not changing anything, and the other teams figured you out. That's why as the series goes on, like other teams figure them out and they just don't adjust. But yeah, I mean, I think this year I was reading somewhere that they're experimenting on defense a bit more this year, and they're more willing to adjust. So I mean, we'll see how it goes this year, especially against Miami. Like it's a pretty terrible matchup for them, honestly, because of Bam and because of Jimmy Butler, and all the shooters. Because like, especially last year, they were like helping one pass away basically, which is just giving up open threes. That's why they got swept. They're just giving up open three after open three after open three against like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Goran Dragic.
I mean, the league is kind of caught on though. Those guys aren't getting
Yes.
the open looks they
Yeah.
were getting anymore.
Yeah. Well, the way Milwaukee's playing defense, they were, and so this year, they're switching a bit more, but they don't switch off the ball, which is like, I think, a pretty important thing for 3-point defense. Like if guys get in the corner and they start doing some off ball screens and all this stuff in the corner, and they're just like fighting through screens, like Duncan Robinson's going to come off a screen and get a 3-point shot every time. So like I think he had like 6 threes today. So that's why. So we'll see if like they can figure it out. I still think because of the way the Heat are like all up and down, and especially the way Jimmy Butler is just not, I think, physically going to be able to handle the load he did last year. That's why I have Milwaukee in, I think, 6 or 7.
That's a good point. I mean, they do have, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the league, Eric Spoelstra. He's great. Who else? But one thing that that does worry me, they got rid of my man Kelly Olynyk.
Kelly Olynyk has been he was going absolutely nuts on
He's
Houston.
He was absolutely insane this year.
Yeah.
I picked him up on fantasy, and
Yeah,
which
that's
I
the
was
pickup of the year.
which I was super happy about, because as soon as he got traded, he started averaging like 20 and 15. He was basically
And he's
putting
getting
up
like 8 assists a game and getting like 2 blocks and a steal, like getting to
insane.
the free throw line. Like it's
Like,
pretty
why didn't he
crazy.
play like this last year in the finals?
Well, I guess it's like on Houston, they're so bad. It's like someone's got to take the shot. But the thing is, he was like efficient, and he was, they actually started winning a couple of games with him. It's gonna be pretty exciting, I think, for like he's a free agent this year. So we'll see where he winds up. I think I wonder how much it'll affect his market. Like, obviously, like as a Raptors fan, it's someone I'd like the Raptors to target in free agency, but I don't know if this last 2 months have just taken them out of the market for him. But it's the big thing with Miami with Kelly Olynyk is that they traded him for Victor Oladipo, who's not playing. Right. He had surgery. I think they announced today that he's not going to be available till November. So
really? I thought he was coming back.
No, he's out. He had a surgery on his quad, I think.
Oh.
Which had been bothering him all year. And I don't know if you're Victor Oladipo, it's a pretty tough year. Like he's going to be a free agent too. And I don't think he's going to get a max contract. And I don't think he's going to have like,
he's declined so much. I mean, he was an all-star at one point. He was insane on the Pacers at one point.
Yeah.
He was their number one option.
Yeah, I had him on in fantasy that year that he like went nuts, and he was a top 5 player in fantasy. He was, hitting big shots against LeBron in the playoffs. But unfortunately, like I was watching the game that he tore his quad. It was against the Raptors, and like I just don't know if he's going to be the same after that, because his strengths were his quickness and his like vertical, like up and down ability. And he just can't like
he can really jump. He's got some bounce.
Yeah.
He can jump out of the gym.
Yeah, and he can sing.
He can.
Have you heard him sing?
I have not heard him sing.
He does like ballads. He sings ballads. You gotta hear that. It's hilarious. He's got like the best voice in the NBA. I don't know. It's interesting.
He doesn't rap or like what kind of music?
He's like wearing a top hat like Neo, doing some crazy belting. Yeah,
like R&B kind of stuff.
Or yeah, R&B. Yeah, R&B for sure.
That's awesome. I love that.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, he performed at like some like the All-Star game or something at the dunk contest, and he has an album. Yeah, it's interesting. But like I said, I wonder. Like I think the league is like passed him up, and I don't think he's gonna have a guaranteed spot as a starter on like any team next year.
Yeah, he's kind of a what do you call it? A wild card.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't think he'll ever be as good as he was, which is too bad, but it happens.
I'm glad you brought that up though. I'll have to give his album a listen. Maybe
do a
review for the next for one of the next episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean with the news of Oladipo, you might have me beat. I mean, heat culture can only take him so far.
Yeah, perhaps the body fat percentage was not low enough for Victor Oladipo. Yeah. Perhaps.
All right. So let's rewind it back a little bit. Let's talk about the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
The whole wind down of the NBA season. So many teams sort of just kind of strategically playing well and then playing like dog shit. Just first of all, just because it happened yesterday, I want to talk about the Wizards. So the Wizards played like dog crap against the
Celtics,
against the soft as hell Celtics.
That's one way to describe them. Yeah,
the very beatable Celtics, in my opinion.
Yes, I mean, very beatable. They're playing Brooklyn right now. They're up against Brooklyn at the half. So that's interesting. But they're very soft. They're soft as hell, yes.
So
like I feel like Jason Tatum doesn't want to see me in the post. So that's where I'm at with that team.
Exactly. And I mean Jaylen Brown, is he injured or is he healthy or
no, he's injured, out for the year.
out
Yeah,
for the year.
I think it's a wrist thing. I can't remember. He's done. So I think they're just punting it. Honestly, they should have tried to tank for the play-in and like tried to, or they were in the play-in. They should have lost and
Yeah,
tried to get a lottery
I
pick.
have him getting swept.
Yeah, I have him 5-1 or 4-1. Sorry, against Brooklyn down losing.
I mean, Tatum might get you a game. He'll put up 50 in a game. And
well, honestly, I'll be honest. I had sweep for Brooklyn, and then I saw the they were up like 15 in the first quarter. I'm like, oh, I'll give him a game.
oh, that's cheating. You can't do that.
That's cheating.
All right. So I think it was a good move by the Wizards, though. They definitely have a better chance. I mean, Embiid could have been the MVP this year. He wasn't, just because he missed so many games. But I think, in my opinion, he was the most unstoppable player all year. He was just unguardable.
When he played, he was really good. Yeah.
Like basically like Hakeem style guard, just with like way more strength and size to him. So I have the Wizards because they took that L on purpose. Lost to the Celtics so that they could get that 8 seed instead of the 7, and playing the Sixers. I have them getting one game against Philly just because
I do too.
I don't think Ben Simmons has really been himself this past last couple weeks. And
well, defensively he's there. I think they're just trying to like get themselves figured out now that they're all supposedly healthy. But like honestly, the Wizards are a pretty good matchup for them just to like figure themselves out, because
absolutely. And Westbrook, he'll put up 20 and 10, and then he'll have some kind of shitty turnover in the last 2 minutes, or commit a dumb foul, or throw the ball out of bounds or something.
He'll get in someone's face and start yelling at them, and then he'll throw an alley-oop off the backboard or something and miss. And that's just the way it'll go. I mean, it'll be fun to watch, but unfortunately for him, I just think like he can't get out of his own head in those moments. But yeah, I have Philadelphia in 5 in 5 games. Yeah, because honestly, like it's a bad matchup for the Wizards because Embiid is there. Scott Brooks is going to want to play Alex Len, who's probably the second worst NBA player in the league. So they're going to like.
Who's the worst? Who's worse than Alex Len?
It was Cameron Payne.
Baines.
Aaron Baines is the worst. Yes.
Aaron Baines might be the worst player in the
player in the NBA. But next year, I think he'll be fine. This year, worst player in the NBA. But Cameron Payne is he used to be the worst player in league history. This year is pretty solid, but he was at one point the worst player ever. Anyways,
statistically, or just like
statistically,
test, or
no, I mean both. Like he was so bad. He was drafted by the Thunder, and then he played for the Bulls, and then he played for the Raptors, and he was terrible. Now he's pretty good. It's impressive, but so I think Embiid's just gonna like dominate Alex Len on both sides, and I mean he's gonna get fouled out, or he's gonna get dunked on like every play. You
can't stop Embiid. You just can't.
And then Russ is gonna like dump the ball off to Alex Len for like a missed layup or something, So that's just gonna it's gonna be a 15-5 start for the Sixers every game until they switch the lineup.
As much as I hate to say it, because I love Russell Westbrook. I love his energy. I love how hard he plays. No one plays harder than Russell Westbrook.
I'm rooting for him, honestly. I want to see him succeed.
So, I love his mentality. He plays so hard. He's so passionate about the game, but he just makes so many boneheaded decisions at the end of the game. So I'm with you on that. Wizards will probably get a game if Bradley Beal and Westbrook just go off like crazy.
If Bradley Beal's healthy too, he looked like he might have been injured in the last game. So if he can get it's going to be tough, because I imagine Ben Simmons is going to be on him, and it's going to be he's pretty short actually. He's only 6'3", so the getting the shot off will be tough if he can't blow by him.
Yeah, and Ben Simmons is just say what you want about him on offense. He has no jumper. He's never going to have a jumper. He doesn't care. You say what you want. The media is going to talk shit about him for years and years. He doesn't care. He's an all-world talent on defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good as it gets as a wing defender, at least. So definitely.
All right, so Wizards saying, sorry?
Hawks Knicks.
Hawks, Knicks. Okay. I thought we were gonna do the whole tanking thing.
Oh yeah, the
plan.
tanking. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, let's do that then. So we had what the Clippers tanking.
So did the Clippers so the
They didn't
Clippers
play the
lost.
tank. They didn't play the play-in, but they tanked their last two games. They benched their starters and lost against the worst two teams in the league, so they could get on the other side of the bracket from the Lakers.
Okay, so that's an interesting one because
Yeah.
we all remember when Kawhi basically duped the Lakers into thinking he was going to sign with them, and at the last second, just so that they couldn't sign anyone else, wait to the last second, sign with their neighbor rival across the hall, Clippers, and put out this New Balance ad called Kawhi Town. You guys can go check it out on YouTube. It's actually a pretty cool ad, and there was at the time I thought it was pretty cool because
Yes, I did too. Yeah,
because
even though I was mad, I was pissed off. It was cool.
I was also pissed off. I mean, he should have stayed in Toronto. Toronto would have been. They wouldn't be tanking right now.
They would be. They'd be going
stayed.
for the third. They'd be going for the third title right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could argue they're still defending champions because last year was the Mickey Mouse.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so Kawhi, fresh off a championship, Finals MVP, played absolutely outstanding. Everyone was saying he was the best player in the world after that, just because of how amazing he played for the Raptors in those playoffs. So he put out an ad for New Balance with him and his Kawhi Town, so LA's new king. It's not LeBron anymore. He had this king keychain hanging off the keys of his very cool
Was it Camaro or something? What was it?
I think it might have been a Camaro. Just this vintage drop top Camaro. Very cool ad. So basically saying that he's the new guy in town. He's the best player in LA. Clippers are going for the chip. There was all this drama about how the Clippers were going to beat the Lakers in the Western Conference final. They're going to meet each other. And then obviously the rest is history. The Clippers choked. But, after talking so much shit, after all that garbage about, Kawhi Town, Clippers are here, the Lakers are past news. They're tanking to avoid the Lakers.
It's downright pathetic if you ask me. And I'll say I don't think Kawhi would have. I don't think this was Kawhi's choice. I'm going to say who do you think brought this up in the locker room? I'm going to say Paul George. That's just me though.
You don't think it was the coaching or management?
Oh, it was probably the coaching. Yeah, it was probably the coaches, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." Because I honestly, when Kawhi was in the Raptors, the Raptors would never have done something like that. They just wouldn't do it. And if I'm the Clippers, I want to play. In my opinion, I want to play the Lakers right now, right? Because they're injured.
You want to meet them early in the playoffs because they're so out of sync. They haven't played together. They're coming fresh off of injury. So yeah, I mean, I'd say the Lakers.
That's why it's probably a management coaching decision, because it's well, if we have this huge core we're committed to and we lose in the first round, then that's on our heads. Whereas if we lose in the conference finals, then we can say, well, we made the conference finals. We gave it a shot. We were this close to the finals. But I just think it's a pretty soft move, and I can't. It's probably the problem is that it might end up working out for them, which is the worst thing. But it's definitely if you're LeBron and you're thinking well, if we get there, then then we're in their head already, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm LeBron and AD, I'm thinking, these guys ducked us. We're about to, and eventually, if they do meet in the conference final, I mean, if you're the Lakers, you're walking in there with so much confidence, and swagger. These guys don't want to see us. These guys are scared of a 36-year-old LeBron James in his 18th year.
And it's 7 home games for the Lakers in that case, right? It just is. Yeah.
So I think it was a bum move by the Clippers. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it was definitely not Kawhi because he's like an old school guy. I remember that story. Um, Nick Nurse, Nick Nurse during after they won the final. Uh, so they split the games at home,
Mhm.
and they were going off to Oakland to play 2 games. And Nick Nurse was talking to the locker room. He was like, "All right, we just need to get 1 game," and Kawhi's just like, "Fuck that, let's get 2. Let's get both of
Yeah.
those games."
I love it.
Like
Yeah.
that.
And
That's
then you could
just
see like he came out in those games like he wanted to get them both. And yeah, like that was incredible. So
absolutely
he just wouldn't I just can't imagine he was involved in this in the decision to tank. He was probably fine with the rest because I guess he just seems to be fine with resting. But he probably wouldn't choose to tank if it was up to him.
agreed. Okay. Is there any other teams that were?
Well, I think there were a couple like the Mavericks and the Blazers and the Nuggets were all like messing around a little bit. It wound up working out for most of them. I mean, unless Dallas, like your Dallas, you probably don't want to play the Clippers in the first round, but they won the game 1 today, so maybe they do. I don't know.
Right, which is surprising because I don't think of the Mavericks. I mean, Dallas hasn't been a good team.
No,
They
they've been a lot better after the All-Star break. They started
Right.
so bad, but they've been better since the All-Star break. I mean, it helps that Porzingis is healthy, but
is not whining about a stupid little injury like he
Yeah.
always is.
yeah. Who wants more though? Is it him or Anthony Davis?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna take Anthony Davis.
I think probably neither of those. I think Luca he's the biggest whiner
Well,
in the
wind to
league.
the refs, yeah. But Anthony
Yeah.
Davis winds up on the floor every 10 seconds. It's like it seems like he's gonna. It's all every single play is on the floor. But yeah, Luca complains to the ref so much to a point where it's like he's not fun to root for anymore. Already, he's not
No.
fun to root for.
And
Which is
and
like, that's no
the
good.
refs was caught on too. He
Yeah.
got the most. I think he had the most techs in the league this year.
Well, it's like that's one of the best things about like a Kawhi. Like he goes to the rim, he gets fouled, he gets hacked. His shoulders are massive, so it doesn't look like it, and he just doesn't care. Occasionally, you'll hear his deep voice like screaming at the ref, but it's like, when you do it once a quarter, then you get a lot of credit, I think. And so, if you're Luka, like you're not getting fouled every play, especially when you're a jump shooter, you're not getting fouled every play. And if he doesn't get over it, I don't see him. It's gonna hurt him, I think, in the long run if he doesn't get over it.
Absolutely. And like I said, the refs have caught on. They're not giving him the calls. They're just kind of fed up with him at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like he came into the league and he was so fun to watch, and then slowly he turned into like Rick Carlisle just made the Luka offense and said take the ball and we'll sit in our corner and we'll do whatever, and then pass out, you'll drive and kick and scream at the ref when you get fouled. That's their offense. So it's not fun for me as a fan. It's not fun to root for him already, and it's only been 2 years. Even though I can acknowledge he's like obviously incredible.
Right. So I assume you have the Flippers. I mean Clippers winning that series.
Unfortunately, I do. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have the Clippers going pretty far. So we'll say that. I have the Clippers in 6. What about you?
I have the same thing. I think the Mavs, I mean, after today, after watching the game, I had them in 5, but after today, they looked pretty good. Kristaps was solid.
Yeah.
Jalen
Brunson was pretty solid. Tim Hardaway Jr. was killing it.
They looked really good.
Yeah. I think they missed. I like they traded for JJ Redick. I think they missed James Johnson, who I don't know if you know anything about James Johnson, but I'm like the number one James Johnson. Like I'm driving the James Johnson bandwagon. Like I'm in charge. I'm like honking the horn, telling people to get out of the way. Like I think the Raptors had James Johnson at one point. He was on Memphis, and then he went to the G League, and then he came to the Raptors. Like I think James Johnson is like incredible. He just doesn't get a shot, and so they traded him. They got him this year, and I was like, well, that's an incredible addition. Like he can basically guard the best. He can guard Kawhi right now for them, or Paul George, who doesn't really need. You could just put a pylon in front of him, but You could
I mean,
guard Kawhi.
can anyone really guard
No,
Kawhi?
but you can put a body on Kawhi. Like he's a big dude. He's strong. He is tough, and offensively, he's like a really solid. Like he's a really solid playmaker. He can dribble. He can pass. He can shoot. Like to me, James Johnson is incredible. I don't know why like all the coaches don't like him in the league. I don't know, but anyways, so I think James Johnson today and in the later games would be very helpful for the Clippers or for the Mavericks. But and JJ Redick didn't play, which I don't know why. Like I don't know if JJ Redick is like injured or if just Rick Carlisle doesn't like the way he plays defense or something, but he didn't play. So yeah, I don't know. That so for those reasons, I think Dallas is going to struggle in the long term. Like they had to have a crazy Luka game, and Paul George sucked in the first half and he sucked at the end of the game. I don't think that'll happen again. So
I hope not. I mean, I'm not a fan of Paul George, but I'm just kind of tired of seeing Paul George crumple under pressure, you know.
Well, it's so he started like he was like 1 for 7 in the first half, and it's like he's just getting destroyed on like making bad decisions on defense, like getting blown by and reaching. It's just like he's so good and he's just messing up every play. It's like
yeah, but I mean he's had an incredible regular season. Played
and he came on in the second half, like you know, you have to give him some credit. He came on in the second half and he was pretty solid until the end of the game where he just missed a couple shots, which seems to happen a lot for him. But at least he was like kind of locked in more. And I think he'll be fine actually. Like everyone likes to hate on him, but I think he'll be fine as it goes on. And so yeah, that's like I think Kawhi looked like Kawhi looked amazing today. He looked as good as he did in Toronto. Paul George should be better, I think. And
I think he'll be better.
Yeah. So for those reasons, yeah, Clippers in 6, I think.
Clips in 6. All right. And then all right. So
you want to stay in the West or go to the East?
Let's stay in the West. Let's do the West.
Okay.
So
let's knock off Utah and Memphis real quick.
All right, Utah, Memphis. Okay, so obviously Ja hasn't been shooting that well, and you know,
except for the
teams
play-in,
have kind of
had like 6 threes in the play-in or something, right?
Yeah, he lit it up and put up a 35 piece.
But they're leaving him open like for a reason. He's not a good shooter. So
he's not a good shooter. Teams are playing mind games with him, just giving him all the space in the world and all the time in the world to shoot from 3, which is I mean, that's something you got to deal with in the NBA as a young player. So yeah. I love Ja. I love the ways he plays. He's kind of like he kind of reminds me a little bit of Westbrook, just his aggression, his passion for the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that alpha mentality, like that is pretty important. Like it's pretty. The Grizzlies have no business being as good as they are.
No,
they have a lot of talent, but
Dylan Brooks is sweet. Dylan Brooks is lighting it up.
JV's Dylan Brooks. You know, Dylan Brooks. I'm pretty sure Grizzlies fans they used to not like him at all. I think they like him now just because he's like grinding it out, but he used to just take terrible shots. He's got like T-Rex arms. His arms are like really, really small for his size. And he just like, he acts like he's like LeBron. If you see his press conferences and stuff, he acts like he's LeBron. His confidence is that high, but he's playing well. His defense is pretty solid. But for me, like with the Jazz, I just don't think they have much of a shot. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so John Morant, Jonas Valanciunas is insane. That man can hoop.
Yeah.
And
I wish he was still in the Raptors.
I do too, but you know what? That was a good trade. Marcus Gasol played very good for the Raptors that year. He's fallen off since, but I loved him on the Raptors. I think Jonas was one of my best picks in fantasy this year. He put up any game, he can give you 20 and 15. Yeah. He's an absolute monster on the boards. He wasn't getting calls in the play-in, which was unfortunate, you know. Big men don't
sucked for me. Like I had a couple. I had a bet on his over, and so he got in foul trouble real quick, and that was pretty tough for me.
Sucks. Yeah, I mean, big men don't get any respect in this league.
No,
they don't get the calls, but they were just hacking at him. So
him and Jaren Jackson Jr. Right? They both had foul trouble the whole game.
Very true, but I mean, So Jonas is a monster. They got Dylan Brooks. They're just a really scrappy team with Dylan Brooks and Ja going at it. So I think they can get 2 games off the Jazz.
Yeah, that's a fair take. Like I think they're pretty fun. I think the Jazz are like really really good though. I have the Jazz in 5. Um, basically, their defense is like as good as it gets, just because of Rudy Gobert, who's incredible. And
No,
I hate to say,
don't tell me about Rudy
I hate to say,
Gobert.
I know Rudy Gobert, man, but he actually is incredible. So I hate to say that, but he is. But Donovan Mitchell, I'm a little worried about because he's been injured, and Mike Conley, obviously, he's been injured too, and he's pretty old now. But I think they're too well. They play too well to really lose more than a game.
They're super well rounded.
Yeah. So
And
I'm taking Jazz in 5.
and the whole Jordan Clarkson thing. Jordan Clarkson has been playing outstanding, and it shows you like. I mean, I'm a big LeBron guy, so I was cheering for the Cavs back in 2018, but Jordan Clarkson was a bum. He was a
Oh yeah.
certified bum in
Well, you want to know
2018.
why? It's because he can't play off the ball with LeBron, and he needs he just needs to know that he's going to get 15 shots a game. Like that's who he is.
He's the kind of player he can't. So LeBron was obviously the best player in the world in 2018, not even close. So he was so ball dominant, and the way the Cavs played him, it shows you going from that 2018 version of Clarkson to this current one. It shows you how situational the NBA really is, because Clarkson isn't a guy you can just put in the corner and pass the ball and just be a spot up shooter. He's not a spot up shooter. He's one of those guys that needs to get the ball. He needs to be able to cook. He needs to warm up and get to his spots. He starts dribbling around. He's got great ball handling. He's got great shot selection and situational awareness. He's the kind of guy that you need to give the ball to, and he needs to get his shots. So
yeah, exactly.
So
he's as good of a scorer as there is as like a non-star. He's as good of a scorer as they get. So
yeah,
he's pretty fun, and he's the fit on Utah is perfect for him.
And
right?
I love watching him. I absolutely love watching. He plays with so much swagger. It's insane. I would put him up there with I think he plays with the most swag in the league. I'm just gonna go out there and say it.
Oh yeah, I mean he's confident, and he's borderline chucker, but he's not a chucker because the shots go in. But that's who he is. So I think it's pretty fun, and I think like I said, the fit on Utah is like it's like a glove. It's perfect for him, and they need him, and he needs them. So it's good that it's working out for them both.
Absolutely. So all right, so you got Jazz in 5. I got Jazz in 6. Either way, I think it's pretty easy to see. Memphis is really.
Hold on. If the Warriors had made it, would that have changed anything for you?
No,
me neither. Yeah.
I mean, Steph is outstanding, but you need more than one guy that can shoot the ball.
Yeah. You don't think Jordan Poole can win a series?
No. Who's that dude? That guy, he kind of went off.
On Toscano Anderson.
He was cool.
Yeah.
He was fun to watch.
He can swing it. He can swing a whole playoff game for you.
Yeah. He had that one putback dunk, and he was talking. I loved it.
Well, he's from the Bay, I think, or San Francisco or something. So
yeah,
he's a hometown kid. Honestly, when I saw watched the Warriors game in the beginning of the year, and I saw a lineup of Juan Toscano Anderson and Jordan Poole and Kent Bazemore, I'm like, this is just not going to go well for them. And I mean, Toscano Anderson wound up being all right, but he's not Kevin Durant or even Harrison Barnes. So
no,
we'll see where they go next year. Anyways.
All right. So Jazz, Grizz, Clips, Mavs. Let's go over to Nuggets, Blazers. Who you got?
So
this is a tough one, actually. This is a good matchup.
This is a fun one. So obviously Damian Lillard is playing pretty insane. And CJ McCollum. Norman Powell, I love Norman Powell. I loved him on the Raptors. He was obviously easy to hate when he was there, but was really fun, and he always gave it 100%. He was great for the team, but I don't like the fit on the Blazers really. Like,
Yeah, it seems like he
he's
hasn't really found his footing. He's not really where
he's
he
getting
wants
them
to
20
be.
points. Like, he'll get 20 points for you, but it's just kind of hollow for them. And like, I feel like they need, like, he's an incredible spot up shooter in the corner, so that's good for the Blazers, like, offensively. But he's too small, I think, to guard. Like, he's played out of position his entire career. So it'd be nice to see him actually go somewhere and play shooting guard. But so you got those three. I mean, Nurkic is like an X factor for the Blazers. Like, if he's going to be who he is, like, that's pretty big for them. He's obviously
He's not though. He's not the
yeah.
Nurkic that we all know.
So then on the Nuggets, they have the problem for the Blazers that they've got Jokic, who the Blazers don't have an answer for, and Michael Porter Jr.,
No
who
one
there's
has an answer for Jokic.
No, yeah, for sure.
I would, okay, apart from maybe Steph Curry, I would say Jokic this year has been the best offensive player in the league.
Yeah, he's like, Jokic is like Larry Bird mixed with Marc Gasol. That's who he is. With
It's
a
like,
bit of like Bill, with like a little bit of Bill Walton and a bit of like Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis. Like, that's who he is. It's insane.
I mean, he's the kind of player that he can get to his spots and he can post you up. He can shoot the mid range.
Like, he's just doing it at his own pace. He's like, he's comfortable basically everywhere on the floor.
And if you double team him, he's one of the best passing bigs we've ever seen.
Yeah, so, and it's not like a hollow pass out. Like, he'll just make the right play every time. If sometimes he's too prone to pass, but for the most part, it's like he'll just make the right play every time. So you can't double team him. And if you do, he'll just, like, he's got Porter Jr. in the corner. He's got Aaron Gordon cutting to the rim. He's got shooters like Will Barton. Like, it's just pretty tough to guard. So with all that being said, I have Denver in 7, just because the guards in Denver cannot match up, obviously, with Portland. But I think Denver is going to put Aaron Gordon on one of the guards and basically lock them down. And so you've got CJ or Dame and one of the two, and Norm Powell. They can't, and Carmelo Anthony. Like, they can't beat Jokic and Michael Porter Jr., who, by the way, Michael Porter Jr. is not going to have, like, no one on the Blazers can guard Porter Jr. either. So that's two guys who are going to drop 30 every game, I think. And the Blazers are going to struggle.
All right. So I also have the series going to 7, but I have a different result. So here's why you're wrong.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So the Blazers, their two best players when they match up, Dame isn't the same. There's a reason why Jokic is the MVP.
Yes. But
that being said, Dame is the kind of player where as soon as he crosses half court, you gotta get a guy on him. You gotta get a guy shadowing him because he's gonna shoot it from the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they've got two of the best rebounders in the league in Cantor and Covington. So they've got the big men. So
yeah,
that Dame and CJ are gonna pull the defense out, and then they've got big men to match that and get that strong paint presence.
Mm-hmm.
They've also got what's his face? Carmelo
Simons. Oh yeah, I thought
Carmelo
Simons.
Anthony, man. He's been playing insane this year. Like, how can you not love what you've been seeing from Carmelo?
Yeah.
He can get you 20 points a game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the thing is, like, the Blazers are so. Have you watched any Blazers games?
I have.
So yeah, I've seen, they're so bad on defense. Like, they're just, like, I feel like Campuzzo's going to drop 30 on them. Like, that's how bad they are.
I almost forgot about him, but I love that you brought that name up. I absolutely love Facundo Campazzo. He's probably last year my favorite player was Jimmy Butler. This year my favorite player is probably Campazzo. I freaking love that guy.
Just hilarious. He's
just
tough.
The amount of he has so many little, he like steps on your foot when you're trying to shoot a three. He'll set a pick and hit you in the nuts. He does. He's got such a like a small person syndrome. He plays like he's got such a chip on his shoulder. because
Yeah.
he's a rookie in the league, but he's like, what is he, like 27 years old?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hilarious. He's not Jamal Murray, but you know the Nuggets could do worse than to just say, well, no Jamal Murray, we're just going to give the ball to Jokic every play, right? Like, you know, it's not a bad option just to go to Jokic every play. So and Campuzzo, like he'll get some assists. He gets a lot of steals actually by digging in and like being like kind of annoying.
Players hate playing against
Yeah.
Campazzo.
Yeah, so he's gonna get some steals. He's gonna harass, like he'll strip Norman Powell a couple times for sure.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it'll be fun.
So I mean, if the Nugs had Jamal Murray, it would be a no-brainer. It would be like
if they had Jamal Murray, I'd like them for the championship. So that's how high I am on them.
I like that. It's a hot take.
It is a hot. I had money on them winning the championship before Jamal Murray went down.
All right. So that leaves us one final matchup in the West.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I go first?
Go ahead.
All right. So the Lakers are the defending champions, but you know they've been so up and down the season. AD has missed like 30 games or something. LeBron's missed the most games he's ever missed in a season.
Yeah.
They barely even beat the 9th seed, 10 seed Warriors. They barely just inched by them. Suns have a budding superstar in this league in Devin Booker. That man can he'll cook you on every end of the court. It doesn't matter. And they've got MVP candidate Chris Paul.
Yeah.
So with all that said, Lakers in 5, baby.
Oh no.
Let's go.
So did you watch their playing game?
The Golden State game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I watched the Lakers and I watched part of the Memphis game.
Okay. So the Lakers looked really bad against Golden State.
They looked terrible
really
in the
bad.
first half.
They looked really bad. LeBron, like, was getting like overpowered at the rim by Juan Toscano Anderson, like over and over again. And I've never seen that before.
So who got that block? Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins was like, you can't get, like, Andrew Wiggins was like sunning him that whole game. It was crazy.
He blocked the shit out of LeBron. It was crazy.
He was like D'ing him up. He was forcing tough fadeaways, and LeBron was just like not. His explosion, his like vertical up and down stuff. It's like it just wasn't happening for him. Like his jump shot was going in sometimes, but
didn't look. He wasn't the same LeBron.
I feel like every year it's like, oh, LeBron, this is it for him. And I used to say that when they were playing the Raptors, I was like, oh, he can't do it. But I started to realize like, oh, what, like, it's LeBron. He's not gonna.
It's still LeBron, man. It's still LeBron.
This time, like he's never looked this bad. He looked like a top 30 NBA player, not a top 2 NBA player to me. Against the Warriors, like, it was bad. And I'm actually, like, I respect LeBron. I think he's incredible. But the three rims thing was pretty embarrassing. That's an embarrassing moment for him. And
he's such an actor. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. Okay, first of all, the fact that they didn't call that a flagrant on Draymond, I thought was absolutely ridiculous.
Really, I think
he had his fingers up his nose, in his brain, in his eye sockets.
I feel like it was a contest where, okay, this is what they call these things all the time, where a guy goes up, he gets hit in the gut, and he like goes forward, right? And like to me, that's what happened. That's like, so that's why, like, I'm glad it wasn't a flagrant. I'm glad.
And the fact that it's Draymond, I mean, you can't deny true. The guy has a history.
He didn't kick him in the balls though. At least he didn't do that.
Yeah, at least. Anyways, yeah, you're right. I mean,
so with all that being said, I have Phoenix in 7.
Who's going to guard AD?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. But I don't think AD and like Dennis Schroeder can do much against, like, who's going to guard Chris Paul and Devin Booker, right? And I'm not a huge Devin Booker guy. Yeah, Alex Caruso, he's pretty solid. as a defender, but
He's
like,
underrated.
here's the thing. Chris Paul is, I think, incredible. Like I think he's still a top 6 player in the NBA, and he thrives in like a conventional, two big men, two wings and a guard lineup, and that's what he's got, and that's what he's got on the other team too, right? He's got he's going to play against big guys. They're going to play Drummond, who's going to get absolutely destroyed. They're going to play
Drummond,
Montrezl Harrell, who's going to
I
get
hate
destroyed.
Drummond so much.
Yeah. So here's the thing: like Chris Paul on Houston was pretty solid, but in Oklahoma City he was incredible, and that's because he was playing like pick and roll with all these guys, and like with Steven Adams and with these guys that like he could like orchestrate the offense completely by like moving people around and doing what he does. And when they played Houston in the first round last year, it was the worst matchup for him ever because they just went small and switched everything, and he just couldn't do what he likes to do. But the Lakers are going to be like goaded into playing all their big men, and Chris Paul is going to like work them. Like he's just going to do whatever he wants with them, and they're not going to be able to do much about it. And I think this is like the perfect matchup for Chris Paul specifically because they're going to play all their big men. And so offensively, I think Phoenix is going to be just fine, even though the Lakers have a really good defense. And then, I think Anthony Davis is not been playing very well. His jump shot is way off. And LeBron looked terrible. So I feel like this is as good a time as any to like, take the upset.
All right.
Phoenix is good. Like Phoenix is really good. Chris Paul has DeAndre Ayton playing really well. They've got a bunch of guys like a whole bunch of role players that are really solid. Cam Johnson is a really good shooter. What's the Mikal Bridges has been incredible this year. He's not going to stop LeBron, but he's going to like make it harder. He's a better defender than, I guess like Draymond Green was defending Anthony Davis, right? So I don't know who I don't think anyone was defending LeBron. Andrew Wiggins wasn't that good. So yeah, like Mikal Bridges is a better defender than Andrew Wiggins, and he'll make it tougher on LeBron. And there's a chance that LeBron figures it out and turns it on like he always does. But I'd take Phoenix. I think it's going to be close.
All right. Well, I like that pick. We'll see what happens. Anyways,
I got to go against the grain. So
thanks for listening to this podcast. I know you guys are waiting to find out how all-time great NBA point guard Chris Paul is similar in character and career-wise to Leonardo DiCaprio as well as Gordon Ramsay. But don't worry, we talk about all that stuff and more in part 2 of this episode. The link to that video will be in the description below. As always, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to stay notified of future videos. We're also on Spotify, so click the link in the description if that's what you prefer. As always, stay thirsty, ladies and gentlemen.